Okay, so in today's video I'm going to share with you a drill that has genuinely transformed my golf swing, and it's made a massive difference to my game already. Now, what's prompted this video is this year what I wanted to do is I wanted to give the channel more of a theme of a coaching aspect. This means being a little bit more holistic, looking at things slightly differently, talking about player development, and getting out of the golf course as well a little bit more frequently, not only myself, but also with students, because I feel that's going to help you guys really improve your games and take you to that next level. What I thought would also be interesting on two levels is if I learn how to play the game left-handed and see what sort of level of golf I would be able to get to. It's been prompted because of the channel, but it's also been prompted because with a lot of my online students, I've been recording videos about how much repetition and how long you should practice. And I thought by following my guidelines would make a real big difference towards my approach to playing the game left-handed, and I'd be able to document my progress and how many repetitions and what sort of milestones, which would help you guys to see development as well. But let's get stuck into this video first. So I started to hit some shots, and I very quickly noticed that the way I was swinging, I wasn't going to see any progression in the foreseeable future. The main reason why is because I felt that even if I started hitting the ball every time, there was absolutely no athleticism into the swing that I was producing at all. I expected inconsistency with results, and I wasn't concerned about that. But what did concern me is that it just didn't feel like a swing. It just felt like I was sort of standing there and chopping down the golf ball, which I felt like was going to be an absolute waste of time. So what I did is I very quickly switched to a drill that I'm going to share with you now that should fundamentally change your approach on how you swing the club as well. So the big thing that we need to understand about the golf swing is there's a lot of extension, and if you like, there's a lot of upward forces. So when I was stood there swinging left-handed, keeping my head down and just trying to lift my arms up, I kind of knew that it didn't feel right. So what I simply did is I simply went to my wall drill. It's one of my favorite drills. I got myself pretty close to the wall behind me, and I basically just spent a little bit of time. I'll do it right-handed. I use my trail hand to go up the wall, my lead hand to go up the wall, up, 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 and up. Doing that type of motion just kind of gave me a much stronger feeling of what it would be like to be swinging the club. So using my left hand going up in the air and then using my right hand going up in the air. Now, I think you guys should do this as well. I'm a big believer that in the backswing, your trail hand takes responsibility for helping you lift the club up. And in the through swing, your lead hand takes responsibility for helping you lift the club up. So by simply just spending a short amount of time practicing this and this, if you like a sort of windmill drill, gave me a completely different picture of the golf swing. And I think this is where a lot of golfers tend to go wrong in the swing. You tend to get a little bit too fixated on what it really means to stay downward facing and looking at the golf ball to the point where you just genuinely don't move up at all. And that's what I'm saying. The first thing you need to understand is that we are looking for a lot of extensional motion. But extensional this way, yes. Extensional standing up, well, no. And that's why you need to ensure that if you're going to practice doing my wall drill, which is this hand and this hand, then you also need to ensure that you're maintaining hip depth. Let me explain why. So if we draw a line here to represent the wall that would now be behind me, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself probably about 3 fingertips distance away from the wall. You see, if I start getting the feeling of lifting my arms up and suggesting this is an extensional motion, which is fine and part of the golf swing, but equally if I start to stand up, then I'm going to be in a big bit of problem. And this is why we need to also understand the term hip depth. Now this is where, if you like, the sort of rotational part of the swing comes into it. As I in the backswing pull my trail hip back or rotate the pelvis, can you see the way my right hip has to move into the wall? As I start and swing through, my left hip has to move into the wall. You see, when we move this way, and like I just showed you from that side perspective, it gives us that ability to stay in hip depth. What it's really doing is it's helping us tilt the pelvis. So in the backswing, once we get set up and we swing back, what's theoretically happening is the right side of the pelvis is more upward, so the left side is more downward. Now, by tilting the pelvis basically means I can still, look like I'm staying over the ball, but every ounce of me is in a state of extension. And then as I come into this sort of downswing impact area, again, because my left hip is now on the wall, which tilts the pelvis so my right side is down, this again, see the way I'm sort of facing up towards my target. So this is what's given me that blend of being able to get this feeling of my arms going up while sort of simultaneously staying in posture. That's why this is really so important. I was hitting some shots left-handed. I was really trying to focus more of my idea on not necessarily being so concerned about hitting the ball or hitting it well, but more thinking about, okay, in the backswing, I'm trying to get my arms and the energy of the club towards the ceiling. So it's kind of this way. And then in the through swing, it's this way. Again, trying to ensure that I'm going more up, not necessarily just staying down. If we stay too much down, there's no real space, there's no momentum to swing the club through, and you're just quite often going to get really stuck. So this is something that I would suggest that you really practice and become very, very accomplished at. The way I'd go about it is, first of all, for the backswing, just practice using your trail hand only. And as you do that, you might need to just practice having an object behind the back of your hips, something like a chair, to make sure you're staying in posture. If you can maintain your hip depth and get the feeling of using your trail hand to lift the club up, you're going to get yourself into a really good position. You can then practice this in the downswing and through swing, as I'm demonstrating here, while simultaneously getting the left hip back. This again is going to give you the ability to maintain hip depth, but understand the concept of the golf swing, I think, in the simplest manner that you possibly can. And I would say that I've got a long journey to go before I get myself to I don't know what level of golfer. I'll get out on that golf course in the next few weeks and see exactly what handicap I am playing left-handed. But I think in terms of the premise of the swing, I do genuinely feel confident that by just sort of concentrating on this type of drill and exercise, I'm going to start to get pretty close to a functional swing very quickly, which is why I'd strongly suggest that you guys entertain doing it as well. So what I try to say to all my online students is that, look, you want to do the drills that you can do at home to get the feeling. It helps heighten your awareness for the difference between what is correct and incorrect. Then what you want to do is go to the range, similar to what I'm showing you here with my experience of playing left-handed. You basically just want to hit shots pretty quick. In every practice session, you're trying to achieve basically as much repetition as you possibly can. But what I'm also trying to do is just trying to recreate those feelings. So when I'm hitting shots and I know it didn't feel right, I'm just quickly trying to, if you like, self-teach as to what I should have done different so I can try on the next shot. Golf and golf swing is going to be full of mistakes, and that's fine. That's massively part of the learning. But what I think is really helpful, which not enough golfers have, is a point of reference as to what it actually is that it should feel like that is successful. And like I say, if you can maintain hip depth and you can do the wall drill with the hands, I think that's about as close as a feeling you're going to get to a successful golf swing. And I'll be really interested to see how you guys get on. So get your repetition in, get yourself down the range, and I'll catch up with you really soon. Okay, so hopefully you guys find that drill really useful. It's certainly something that I use myself and with lots of students to give them the feeling of a better golf swing. What I'd also suggest is this video here. This one is going to be really enlightening for you. And again, just to get you think slightly different about the golf swing, which I think is a really healthy thing to do when you're trying to go through the process of change. See you soon.